My eldest son manages a health club in South London. At the time of writing, he and his team are dealing with a huge influx of new members that January always brings. Those new members arrive carried along on a wave of New Year's resolutions and a seemingly unbreakable commitment to being fitter and healthier. Some, sadly, won't even make it to the end of the month. Most new health enthusiasts drop out within the first few weeks, and as many as 80% will fall off the bandwagon or the treadmill within the first 5 months. So much for the new year, new me promises that they've plastered across social media. The demolition and construction sector, frankly, is no better. While our New Year's promises may not end in a reluctant return to poor diets, cigarettes, and alcohol, our commitment to be better in 2026 is fragile at best and at worst, doomed to failure. One reason, of course, is that meaningful change is virtually impossible to accomplish alone in this industry. You might want to take on more apprentices and mould them to suit your business, but there's no guarantee you will find suitable candidates. You might want to pin your colours to the diversity mast and recruit more women, but if the industry culture remains prehistoric, they won't want to stay. You may have decided during the Christmas break that you were done with tier one contractors and all their nonsense, but you still need to keep the lights on, and projects hanging over from last year often dictate your reality. You may have concluded that you're done with waiting for money rightly owed to you, but wanting to be paid on time doesn't make it magically happen. In all likelihood, even resolutions made after considerable thought will fail. Like the new gym member who celebrates a workout with a visit to McDonald's, we'll be back to our old ways before you can say Happy New Year. There's another obstacle, the environment. Like someone attempting to quit alcohol while their entire social circle lives at the pub, a standalone business is unlikely to break away from the pack. If virtually every other firm accepts subby bashing and late payments as a matter of course, that culture remains the norm. Furthermore, some simply don't want to change. Those at the top of the sector are often content knowing that if one subcontractor refuses to participate in the retentions racket, there'll always be another company willing to work for less, jumping through hoops just to see a portion of their invoice settled. Then there is the biggest obstacle of all, leverage. When workloads are high, specialists have power. When there's more work than people, workers have leverage. However, workloads finish 2025 in the doldrums, and there are few signs of any real meaningful shift. Even amidst a skill shortage, many card carrying workers are currently sitting on the sofa waiting for the phone to ring. It's nigh on impossible to change the status quo when you're fighting for survival. To change your physique, you need more than a gym membership. You need a lifestyle overhaul. To change an industry, we need to address our muscle memory. For decades, construction has been conditioned to operate on low margin, high adversity models. We've become addicted to the adrenaline of the last minute bid and the frantic scramble for cash flow. If we want to avoid an 80% failure rate, we need to stop viewing these issues as individual failures and see them as systemic health problems. A subcontractor trying to implement fair pay in a vacuum is like a man trying to lose weight while his housemates fill the fridge with cake. To see a different industry by December 2026, we need training partners. That means trade bodies and federations actually growing some teeth and a collective refusal to accept unfair conditions. If the industry truly wants to get fit, it needs to stop looking for metaphorical slimming pills of a single government grant or a one off diversity seminar. We need to build core strength by diversifying client bases so we aren't beholden to tier one giants who treat payment terms as suggestions. We also need to acknowledge that the economy is the ultimate personal trainer, and right now it's a drill sergeant. With interest rates still biting, the temptation to cheat is immense. When a project offers terrible terms but guaranteed work, most will take it. We tell ourselves it's just one more time, much like a gym goer promising this pizza will be their last cheat meal. But those cheap meals keep the industry bloated and inefficient. Every time a contractor accepts an unfair retention clause, they validate the system. Every time a firm hires an apprentice without a long term plan, they contribute to the skills gap. The people who transform their bodies aren't those who spend 5 hours in the gym on January the 2nd, never to return. They're the ones who show up for 30 minutes, 3 times a week, every week of the year. The construction industry doesn't need a radical revolution that burns out by Valentine's Day. It needs a disciplined commitment to marginal gains throughout the year. As my son prepares for the January rush, he knows the gym will be quiet again by March. Let's not let the construction sector be the guy who buys expensive trainers only to leave them gathering dust. We have the tools to be leaner, a more professional industry. The question is, do we have the discipline to keep going when the initial excitement fades and the reality of a cold, quiet February sets in? And if we're still talking about the retentions racket next Christmas, we'll know we failed. But if we could hold our nerve and demand better, 2026 might actually be the year we finally get the industry into shape.